Welcome to the CCFR Radio Podcast, your source for news, updates, and stories from the CCFR.
Hey everybody, welcome to the CCFR Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Yiltaka. Welcome to episode 93, getting a little closer to episode 100. Today on the podcast, I've got a ton of stuff to go through. I know the last one was really long, and I know I say this every time. I'm going to try to do my part as quickly as possible because I've got Wilson coming on with an update of a bunch of other things that are going on at CCFR and that's going on in our community. But I'm going to do my best to do this as briefly as possible to respect your time. And I just really appreciate that all of you spend this time with us to just keep up with what's going on and to see what we're doing to try to save all of our guns. So anyway, before I get started, I have to thank our sponsors. So Vortex, the force of optics. The folks over at Vortex Canada continue to support the podcast. Every 6 months, they keep re-upping. So we really appreciate their support. We couldn't do it without them. And our other very special sponsor, which is the Saskatchewan Rivers chapter of Safari Club International. So as I mentioned before, the Sask Rivers chapter of SCI gave us a sizable donation. We just absolutely appreciate their support. Great group of people. If you want to check out all of the great work they do over there, you can find them at saskriverssci.com. That's saskriverssci.com. All right, now let's get on with it. So some of you may be aware that we have recently gotten a favorable decision from the judge in the CCFR versus Canada, as well as the other cases that are running alongside. So you're probably aware there's, I think, 5 or 6 cases. We're all running in parallel, being looked at the same time because we all have similar claims, and it's concerning the same action that the government committed, which was the ridiculous and inappropriate use of an order in council, which is a legal instrument that they have to make minor appointments or regulations or whatever. And instead they're using it to ban probably up to 1 million actual individual firearms from probably up to 200,000 licensed gun owners. So anyway, we sued them. Other people did. We're all moving forward together. And we got a bit of a favorable decision. So I guess if you're not familiar with the history behind this, we showed up with all our evidence. The other cases did so as well. The government shows up to the lawsuit with nothing. And we're like, we can't tell you anything. It's all cabinet confidence. It's too sensitive to be anywhere in the public, but trust us. Now, if you can see the irony there, like the liberal government that we've had since 2015 are asking us to trust them. Can you imagine anything more absurd than that? Like, of any government, you know, I've been alive for over 50 years, and I've never seen a government like it in my life. I've never seen anything like it, right? The most secretive, manipulative, scandal-ridden, you know, rotting from the inside out, amoral government I've ever seen. And I know those sound like hyperbolic things to say, but if you sat down, and we actually have a project coming up, which will be similar to this, but if you sat down and you started writing down everything that's gone on since 2015 with the Liberal government and all of the corruption, the scandals and the gaslighting and all that stuff, and the statements from sitting ministers, like everyone that's an extremist in Canada is actually involved with the gun lobby. Like, just the most insane things that you couldn't, I mean, 30 years ago, if you said that a sitting minister of public safety would say something like that, you'd be like, yeah, right. That will never happen. No one is that low, you know, has such low moral standing as to say that, even if they, you know, especially if they were the minister. Oh yeah, it's all happening, all that and more, right? But anyway, so the government says, shows up to the lawsuit with nothing. They said, well, you're not entitled to see any of our evidence because we're the government, period. It's all covered. It's too sensitive for the public to know, you know, too hot for public consumption, apparently, their evidence. So the judge, which we're really happy about, said, well, I'll determine whether or not it should be protected by cabinet confidence, right? So whether it should be secret. So what's going on now is the judge made an order to the government, hey, if all this evidence that justifies this enormous action and justifies using an OIC, an order in council, to do it, I will look at what that material is and I will determine whether the public should know about it. So, you know, we haven't won our case. We'll take every little small win that we can, right? But anyway, So what's going on is the government has 30 days to produce that. So about 3 weeks from now is what they have left. They'll give it to the judge. The judge will have to go through that information to determine what the public can know and what the public can't. Once that's done, we'll see whatever that information is. It'll be entered as evidence in the case, which is public information, and we'll proceed from there. So is it a small win? Yeah, it's great. At least the government isn't just walking all over the judge and walking all over all Canadians and us at the same time. At least they'll have to participate in this process at some level. But that's kind of where we're at. Now, I wouldn't put it past the government's legal team to play games with the judge as well by submitting 10,000 pages of material, and maybe a couple hundred are relevant. I don't know. We'll have to see what they're going to do just to drag that thing on, but we'll see. I don't know. I would hope that the judge, and I'm just going to default that she's unbiased and, you know, everything that she should be. And because I have no reason to believe that she isn't. And I'm just hoping that she won't put up with any monkey business from the government, because it's not right. We're going through this the right way, and it's important that, you know, we're treated fairly and everyone's treated fairly. You know, I did want to mention one more thing. I had to do a couple of takes because I'd forgotten something, but I did want to mention something else about the case. Oh, yeah. I skipped over this last podcast because we went too long, but sometimes I'm on Firearm forums and I see people sometimes forget why we're doing this. And it's really important to remember we're doing it for really 3 reasons. You know, I don't know, 4 reasons, right? Number 1, I guess, is we want to save our guns, but we'll set that aside. So first reason I want to talk about real quick is we're trying to address our grievances through the system in the most appropriate way and the most effective way possible. That's why we hired the A-team, legal team to do this at huge expense, because we want to do it right. We want to at least do it once, where we go through the whole process and do it right, because it's important that you do things the right way first before you make any other decisions on what your options are as an individual, right? So whether or not you want to comply, right? Because non-compliance is a bad thing in our society. We don't want to have non-compliance. We don't want to have laws that are unfair, because non-compliance leads to less respect for government institutions, less respect for police. The breakdown in the relationship between citizens and their government and citizens and the police, like, that's bad, right? We're trying to hold this country together. You know, we all used to have the same idea about what a great country Canada is, and we're trying to hold that together. You know, that there's justice and there's right and wrong, not just political. What works for some people politically is the right thing, and they'll use government force to impress that upon every other citizen. That's bad. That leads to instability. So the CCFR wants to say, hey, we're doing things the right way, the way that they should. We are having faith that we're going to be treated fairly, and until we have a reason to believe otherwise, we're going to continue on this course. So that's really important, that we've gone through that process and exhausted it to make sure that we handle things in the right way, right? Number 2, if the decision looks biased, we'll know it, right? So we're all cynical. I'm just as cynical as everybody else, but I try to control it. You know, I think the whole system is rigged, against us, for sure, just because of the government itself, right? They changed the direction of the entire country. They've done that. And, but at the same time, that can't affect the way that I behave and the way that I interact as a citizen with my country and my fellow citizens, right? So if the decision is biased or if it's bad, we will know it. There'll be no hiding it. It'll be right there. So we have to know that. That's important, right? Not just to go on the assumption that everything's rigged and there's no recourse, right? We have to actually know, and that's important. And the big one is, if there truly are no property rights in Canada, if the government, if our system truly is that, depending on the sitting government, they can just take things from you or seize whatever they want, or put blanket censorship over everything, or compel speech, or all these things, we want to know that for sure. So when it comes to property rights, compelled speech, we already know that, right? That was Bill C-16. We have Bill C-10, which is the censorship bill that the Liberals are trying to ram through. We're going to know soon enough whether this can actually be done as it makes its way through the process. And if there are no property rights, if the government can just, for political convenience, just reach into your life and take whatever it wants from you, we want to know that for sure. So this case will tell us that. They'll tell us whether or not the government has to explain itself or justify itself at any level when they take things from you, when they step into your life and take things from you? And if the answer is yes, that's okay. You know, the people that are cheering on, you know, this action that the government's just going to step into our lives and take our things because, you know, you have a Twitter mob, you know, trying to, you know, get Justin Trudeau to cater to them or whatever it is. If that's the case, don't forget, you know, hard left people out there, that if there's a change in government, whether it's the next election or the one after that, they're going to have that same power to do it to you, right? So this is why you want limited government. You want very restrained government power, because especially if the answer is, like I said, it could happen to you and you're not going to like it one bit. And there's going to be nothing you can do about it. So that's why it's important that we establish these things. We do them through the right channels. At least we have those answers. And then all of us as individuals can make our own decisions from there, right? But at least you can rest in good conscience that you did the right thing. So that's one of the reasons. And you know what? The community, you guys, you really stepped up and you really helped us do it financially. So I really appreciate it. I think it's important. All right. So the new website, I want to show you our new website. So this new website at firearmrights.ca took a year to put together. And the reason why we did that is for a couple of reasons. I'm going to show you the website in a second. One of the reasons we did that is we needed a custom coded website for security purposes. And we also needed access to a lot of data from the website. Why? You'll find out soon. So it might be still a few months. We have another project that we've been trying to get off the ground as well. Again, we're trailblazing something. It's going to be really cool once it's done, but that's in process, and we needed to redesign our website for that. And the other thing is I wanted multi-language support for the website. So I'm going to show it to you real quick. If you haven't seen it, you can go there. It's just as easy, I guess. Let me get this going. Okay. So here's a new CCFR firearmrights.ca website. And what's cool about this website, it's custom built right from the, you know, custom coded for our other purposes, what we needed. And it's quite easy to navigate, which is great. But we also wanted multi-language support. And what we did was we are able to keep this site updated with English, French, Mandarin, and 3 other languages. So this multi-language support is pretty close to real time. So there'll be a couple of stories from time to time that haven't gotten translated yet, but they'll be right on the heels of other stories. So pretty cool. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build a big tent, right? We want everyone included. And so for instance, Mandarin, the whole website, other than the most recent stories, it just takes some time to translate things. The whole site is in Mandarin. So if you've got Mandarin speakers in your family or at your gun club, let them know that they can, you know, if their English takes them a lot of effort to read English, no problem. We've got all of our stories and whatnot available to them in Mandarin. So pretty cool. And that took a year to do. But anyway, all that to say, like I said, we're trying to build a big tent and get everybody involved. We need all the help we can get. This government is after everything. Last thing I'm going to talk about real quick is we've got a really big project coming, and it will be launched on the 16th of June. So it's about 7 days from now. It might be the biggest project we've ever done. Now, I'm not going to foreshadow it at all, because the things that we do at the CCFR are sensitive, right? They're politically sensitive. And when people know what we're doing before we do it, it gives them a chance to try to undermine it, right? And I usually I like surprises. I like surprising our political adversaries. So, you know, surprise. This project's now been launched, and now, you know, it's already started. So it's going to be more difficult to stop then. So I'm not going to mention anything, but we're going to be doing a podcast, I think, in a week to announce this whole project, and it's huge. It's part of a different project that we were doing before. And let me just say this, and I'll wrap it up. I was asked, well, it wasn't asked directly to me, but there was a thread going on CGN. And someone's like, hey, anybody remember what happened to the national education campaign that the CCFR was going to do back in December 2019? And, you know, the CCFR we're fully transparent other than, what our plans are or whatever. But as far as what we're doing, or did we do it, or if we didn't, why, and all that stuff, where's the money going? Like all of our financials are submitted and filed on time. They're all audited by a big accounting firm. You can find them all online from the government's website, Corporations Canada website. You can do all that. We're fully in compliance. We run a really tight ship here. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, if you've got a question, I'll answer it. I'll literally answer any question because we have no scandals here. So I answered it online, and it was like, whatever happened to this campaign? And I said, well, what happened was COVID, because 2 or 3 months after I made the video announcing it, or 3 months later, the whole world collapsed, right? So there's a big component of that project that we couldn't do, but we repurposed some of it, like we repurposed the newspaper part of it, and we repurposed that for our lawsuit, right? So Canadians would know what it is the gun lobby is fighting, right? So for a couple of reasons. One, we want support from gun owners and want support from regular Canadians so that we can do this as big as we possibly can. But the other thing is to know what's going on with the gun lobby. Are they all just bad people, or are they fighting for everyone's rights, which we are on the property rights side of it, right? So anyway, 68 full pages of content, over 17 newspapers across the country in a span of 6 weeks. No one's ever done it. I don't think there was ever a single full page ad from a gun lobby group ever. I could be mistaken, but certainly not 68 of them. And audio advertisements on Spotify and iTunes, which was great too, and Google Music. But this thing is part of that campaign as well. And it's huge. Like, wait till you see it. You're just going to be blown away. And basically, we're going back to our roots, educating the public, educating non-gun owners. And this is probably the biggest project that we've done. It'll comprise of a website, a redevelopment of gundebate.ca, to have like videos and tools and really a nice guided, really deep website where you can spend 10 minutes there if you're interested in what's going on with this whole gun debate thing. These gun bans and who are gun owners and why are they upset? Why should you be upset? Or you can spend 5 hours there. So a lot of content. And then we're going to draw people there. So when you see what we're doing, you're going to see how big it is. It's really awesome. So stay tuned for that. I know I'm being very, very tight with the details, but like I said, I don't like people having an opportunity to undermine what we're doing before we do it. So stay tuned for that. All right. So I've talked long enough. That's the update for now. And I'm going to get Wilson on the Skype. So stand by. All right. On the Skype, we've got Wilson. Wilson.
Giltaka, how's it going?
That's going well. How are you?
Well, very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, doing well.
There is a lot of stuff going on, so let's get right into it. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing, something light. We have our AGM annual general meeting happening this Saturday.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So all members who were members on or before March 1st of 2021 will have received an invitation to register for the annual CCFR AGM. Of course, we're going virtual once again this year, thanks to COVID, always putting a damper on our things. But never fear, the whole gang will be there. We'll give you department updates on every department in the CCFR. And it's just a great way to look over the accomplishments and the tribulations of the previous year. So watch for all your favorites to be there. We also, on the Friday night preceding the AGM, we have a live Q&A, and you and I and Loberg are going to get together. It's a lot more of a casual atmosphere. Members would have also received a link to join to that. I think there's over 500 have signed up for it so far. So I don't know how many Qs we'll get through, but we're going to give you as many A's as possible.
Did I know about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're coming.
I'm going to write that down in my schedule.
Yeah, Friday night, 8 p.m. my time. So 5 p.m. your time.
What week is this?
This Friday.
All right. Friday, 8 p.m., 5 p.m. my time.
Yeah, 5 p.m. your time. It's going to be a great opportunity for members to just have a casual interaction with us. It's lighthearted. It's not super, businessy like the AGM itself is. And I think it's a great chance for members to have their questions answered and just exchange some stuff with us. And I've got quite a few people who have submitted questions through emails. I'm going to go through them, and some of them are very similar, so I'll try and combine them into one question. We'll get through as many as possible, and of course, we'll have the Q&A box open on the Zoom. So that is by Zoom. If you didn't receive your links for either of these events and you feel like you should have, you can always email us at info@firearmrights.ca, and we'll make sure we get those over to you.
Awesome. And there was also, part of that was the election. Did I miss that? I was kind of thinking of, whether or not I crossed plans on Friday or not.
Yeah, so there's an election every year at the CCFR. Of course, we sort of 50% of the seats on the board of directors comes up for election. Now, of course, that requires people to run for them, right? Which it's volunteer positions, and I get it. Everyone's super busy. So this year, we only had one province that had a contest, and that was Alberta. All the other provinces either had nobody run or they had one person run and they're acclaimed. So we'll be announcing all of that on the Saturday afternoon AGM. I'm going to do a run through of who's on the board, who's new, who's old, who's staying, and where we go from here.
Cool. All right. Next thing, interesting study came out from Noah Schwartz regarding political opinions of gun owners. Oh, put on the glasses. All right.
Yeah, well, because I took some notes here from Noah's study, and you're right. This is really interesting, and it sort of plays into a conversation that you and I have all the time, and that's what does firearm ownership mean to the people who own them, and how important is it in their lives? So Noah Schwartz, for those who don't know, is a contract instructor at Carleton University here in Ottawa. He recently published this new peer-reviewed study called Guns in the North, and it's an in-depth look at firearms ownership in Canada, what it means to the people who own them, and how it relates to their political advocacy. So this is great because I know, being a gun owner over various decades, you do see a big increase in participation in advocacy by gun owners, but that's because you've seen an increase in attacks by government. So it's interesting for me to look at this. I'm just going to give you a few of the real highlights from Noah's study that I think would be really interesting to gun owners. This one in particular, 76% of participants, so he polled, I think it was 16,000 Canadian gun owners. 76% of participants responded that a political party's position on gun control was extremely important to their voting choice, and 18% responded that it is very important. So if you add those two categories together, that's 94% of gun owners in Canada consider the political party's position, either very or extremely important. So politicians, take note. Also, 50% of survey respondents felt that the public image of gun owners in Canada was very unfair, with 38% answering that it was definitely unfair. 62% felt that gun owners were portrayed unfairly in the media. So that's really important because we've often criticized the media for portraying gun owners in a bad light or not, having a bias against us. And it's absolutely true. And gun owners see it. So less than 2% felt that gun owners were portrayed either fairly or very fairly. Less than 2%. So that's miserable. Then it went on to talk about your social identity as a gun owner. And I don't want to get too into gun culture or anything like that. But it's very true that to the people that own guns, who use them, who enjoy them, who collect them, guns are an integral part of our life, of our social fabric, of our family, of our network. And this study found that 97% of respondents indicated that being able to own a firearm was either extremely or very important to them. So that's 97%. That's pretty big. 92% of gun owners reported either being extremely or very proud to be gun owners. So there is a lot of pride in the gun community, and I think that's important. We're good people. We're vetted people. We follow ridiculous amounts of rules, regardless of how silly they are. And I think that was good. There's a line here that I'm going to close with this because I don't want to ramble on too long about this, but it was very interesting. And he talks about at the end, in sort of his summary of it, he talks about that the previous policies of Liberal governments have created some political fallout. The long gun registry, of course, is a great example of that. And he says, to avoid the political fallout that came from the previous long gun registry, the government has adopted a strategy of targeting sport shooters while trying to avoid mobilizing Canadian hunters towards advocacy. And that's exactly true. They try and keep us divided. The results of this survey suggest that the government may have underestimated the extent to which Canadian gun owners are motivated toward political action. That, to me, is the most powerful statement in the entire study, because I think Noah is 100% right. The professor has nailed it. So
yeah, and that's a big group too. It's not 1,100 Canadians that people transpose like, oh, 80% of Canadians want guns banned. Who did you ask? Well, 1,000 people that were on our list in the first place, right? That continually answer survey questions. This is a lot of gun owners, and yeah, I think that's interesting. And my message is always to casual firearm owners and to hunters. It's like, get in the fight now, because sport shooters tend to be attacked the most. Sport and recreational shooters get attacked the most. Thus, they are the most politically active, and we know how to do things, and we put a lot of effort into it. And when we are gone, all that community and all that experience and everything will be gone. You'll be standing there by yourself while your pump action and lever action is too dangerous to own and is designed to kill the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time. Like, and if hunters hear anything, it's like that you need to wake up, you need to get involved right now, because it's coming for you, And I'll tell you, sport shooters standing here alone demoralizes us for sure. And, and we're being divided by the government, and that group, though, they're not going to be there for you when they've lost everything. You're going to be there by yourself, and you don't know how to do it. So, it's just get on board now. Support your fellow gun owners. Don't let the government divide us so that we become powerless. You got to get involved now. Anyway, that's the end of my preaching about that.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. Yeah. That's right. Yep.
All right. So there was another municipality, Vernon, BC, that decided we're going to preempt any of this Bill C-21 municipal handgun ban monkey business.
That's exactly right. So as you know, I've spoken on this on a couple podcasts now. I've been circulating a template for a motion to oppose the municipal handgun ban in C-21. And the idea here is that it's such a ridiculous, stupid idea by the Liberal government that literally nobody likes it. Not our side, not the anti-gun side, not anybody in the middle, not law enforcement, and definitely not city councils. So I think the idea here is to give them the tools in order to preemptively oppose the idea of this and pass motions within their city councils. So the C-21 is still in debate. It hasn't even gone to the committee stage yet. And here you've got municipalities across the country already preemptively passing motions opposing it. So it's super delicious. But I've got a great quote here. There's a couple quotes from Vernon City councillors when they were asked why they did this. And Councillor Scott Anderson had this to say: giving municipalities the authority to ban firearms fails to target the overwhelming source of crime guns or address smuggling. Totally right, Scott. A majority of the council agreed to disagree with Bill C-21's proposed downloading of the firearm bans on municipalities. Councillor Brian Queering said, maybe this will never see the light of day if everybody writes a motion like this. And Councillor Carrie Gares added, I think this is important for us to be preemptive. So I don't think too much about how Bill Blair feels about things. I'm not particularly concerned with that, but I would love to just have a little insight into how it feels watching councillors across the country in different municipalities completely chipping away at this ridiculous piece of legislation and calling it out for what it is, which is garbage. So very exciting.
Yeah, and then we can also, and this is only the beginning, right? Because Bill C-21 hasn't passed. It's not a real law yet. And, you know, we've had a handful of municipalities, in comparison to how many there are, decide to take preemptive action. And I think that's significant. Like, it's preemptive. Like, they're not even waiting for this thing to get to, you know, third reading, not even waiting for it to get to the committee testimony, the committee stage, right? So anyway, which is good. But if again, we will provide some support for you. If you are on a city council or you want to influence your city council, we'll provide some support for you. And you can always get a hold of the CCFR to figure out how we can help you.
Absolutely. info@firearmrights.ca. I can provide you with this template. Request a Zoom with your local city councilor, go over it with him or her, and see if you can convince them to also put forward a motion and have it passed by the team. I think the more we do this, the better it is to defeat this terrible piece of junk legislation.
Yep. It needs to be defeated. All right. So we have been working with Canadian Access to Firearms, the monthly publication that's got all kinds of it's a unique publication. It's got classified ads for people to trade, buy, sell, and trade guns. And CATF, we've been working with them for a little while now, and we've got something really interesting coming up.
Yeah, so we've been working on it, and it's going to be an 8-page centerfold pullout. And it's a very special edition of the CATF. It's going to really put out there, you know, what is the CCFR? I recognize that we are the youngest of the major organizations. Some people maybe haven't even heard of us yet. And the CATF definitely reaches a different demographic than the online and social media stuff does. So it's a perfect way to reach out to those out there. And to be honest, the success that we've already seen with CATF has been really great. And I love this newspaper. I got to say, being a gun owner so long, I'm guilty of not really being aware of what it was or not being familiar with it. And now it's probably one of the most important pieces of reading material in my house. So I'm addicted to reading it. We've always got great content in there. You know, we put a lot of CCFR stuff in there, as well as every issue I write. I guess you could call it an editorial or an opinion piece, or just a public interest piece. Like in this issue that I'm looking at right now, the current one, I did one on staying gunny in a pandemic and how Canadian gun owners are continuing to enjoy, promote, and preserve their sport while on lockdown. I mean, people are interested in reading this stuff, right? And I think it's just a great way to keep us all connected as a community. So we will share the link to CATF, Canadian Access to Firearms website, and it's totally worth it to sign up. It's $5 a copy, so $48 for the whole year. And you get, first of all, if you're a guy who likes to sit through, or a girl who likes to sit through and read, you know, all these amazing guns for sale, it's chocked full of that. It is dreamy. Colin goes crazy for it. So lots of great advertising, lots of great ads. And of course, there's a ton of information in there. So,
yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
We really encourage you to get a subscription and sign up. It's totally worth it.
Yeah. So the CCFR's eight-page pullout, which is pretty cool. It's like if you want to know why the CCFR needs your support or why we maybe deserve your support, we don't do propaganda. We don't like, oh, we're throwing our backs out over your heavy lifting. Like, we're actually like, oh, here's what we did this month. Here's what we did since the gun ban. Here's what we did. You know, we always tell you what we're doing so that you know whether or not we're worth your support. And that's really important. You know, we don't say things like, well, we're working behind the scenes, can't really see what we're doing. Like, that's no, man, we're in front of the train trying to kill ourselves, trying to do whatever we possibly can to stop this. Whether it works or not, we don't know. But we're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at this problem to try to do something, just so we don't have to sit back, you know, a couple of years from now after we've lost everything and went like, oh, why didn't we try harder? Why didn't we try this? Why didn't we reach out to the non-gun owning public and try to, you know, get around the media and talk to them directly? Why didn't we do that? You know, we're doing everything we possibly can. So I always wanted to make sure that you guys know what we're doing. You guys know what we're doing with your support. And so that eight-page pullout is gonna show a lot of that stuff. And if you want to get that issue, you got to do whatever it takes to get that paper. So if you want to subscribe for a year, go ahead and do that. or you can try to find an issue. But it's coming up, I think, because it's going to be in the July issue, and I don't know when that gets mailed out, whether it's in the middle of the month or something. But if you want to get that, you should jump over there and get the paper.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I used to actually pick it up now and then at gun shows, but of course the pandemic has also flattened those too. Hopefully that's changing. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but yeah, get your hands on one of these CATF. This next issue, the July 2021 issue, is a special CCFR edition. So you're going to love it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. And the final thing is for the draw for that sign that's sitting behind you right now.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Yeah. So the draw for that is going to happen. Well, the deadline is Monday, no?
Monday, yeah. There's still time. Of course, every denomination of $10 gets you a free entry. A $10 donation gets you a free entry into the draw for this. So let's say you donate $50, you're going to get 5 entries. You can enter as many times as you want. There's no limit. And Monday, I'm going to close that contest, and we're going to draw a winner for it. Excuse me. Of course, we will do another contest shortly after that. We're going to keep doing this all year and light up 2021. But this one in particular, I absolutely love it. And I'm going to be really sad to pack it up in a shipping crate and send it to somebody, but I'm going to do it.
You have to do it. That's a raffle prize, man.
It would look great in my new house.
Well, I'm going to have to keep an eye on you so you don't run away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you try and get me on the next podcast and I'm not answering, you'll know why. Yeah. It's because I'm running into the woods somewhere with this sign, never to return.
I'll have to send somebody to your old place and they're like, oh, she doesn't live here anymore. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah.
She's off the grid.
Yeah, she's gone off the grid.
Then I wouldn't have power to run my cool sign though. So
yeah, well, maybe you'll just do everything online and then you'll use a proxy and then we'll be like, I think she's in Hungary. How did she get the sign over there? But anyway, how did she even get all her stuff to Hungary right now during a pandemic? Anyway, so that's awesome. As Tracy said, $10, a $10 donation gets you a free entry into the draw. I'm going to put the link in the description box below so that you can link straight there and do a donation if you want to. And whatever you can do. If you just want to donate $10, that's great. And every little bit helps us right now. We have some huge projects and we got to fund them. So what are you going to say?
And it only takes one to win, right? We're going to pull one entry and they're going to get that sign. So yeah, if all you got is $10, hey, that's all you need actually. So give it a try. Somebody's got to win it. I have to give it to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we've got plenty of signs to come too. So we'll announce on the next podcast another sign. So I think, barring any big disaster, which there's a few brewing, but I think I'm looking at my, I always got a few disasters on the back burner. I think we will be doing a podcast next week, just probably a short one, just to announce. Maybe we can announce the winner, but we're just going to announce this big project that we have coming up because it's releasing on the 16th. So that's next Wednesday.
That's right.
So yeah, I'll see what I can do about getting a podcast out on Wednesday. We can talk about the new project and announce a winner and maybe unveil the new sign. We'll see.
Very nice. I like it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the update and we'll see you soon, Tracy.
We'll talk soon.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for episode 93 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Really appreciate all of you coming back and sharing the podcast and listening and just staying informed as gun owners and seeing what you can do to help all of us together, fight off this crazy liberal government. But anyway, thanks to Tracy for all of her great work and for the update. And as I said, when I spoke to Tracy, the link is in the description box below. If you want to donate $10 or denominations of $10 to the CCFR, you get a free entry for every $10 that you donate, and free entry into the Light Up 2021 sign contest. More signs to come. I think we got another 6 of them or something. So this is gonna keep going. So lots of chances to win. I want to thank our sponsors before I sign off. Vortex, the force of optics. Everyone over at Vortex Canada, thank you. And our friends over at the Saskatchewan Rivers chapter of Safari Club International. You can check out all their great work at Sask Rivers SCI. Thanks. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
This is another episode of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.